Well, first of all, it's really cool that she just talked about free hugs. I have my pin on. You guys just saw us hug. That's actually my company that did the Free Hugs Day. So I was the one doing all the social media, so thanks for participating. So I'm Sabina. My friend Ashley's filming me right now, which is just a little weird. I graduated Fordham in 2013. I'm super excited to be back here today. Before I get started, I just want to ask you guys a question, and I really hope you know the answer. If I say we are, what do you say? Fordham. Yes, we are. Fordham. We are? Fordham. Awesome. Thank you guys. I've always wanted to do that. I was never really important enough to do it before, so thanks. My pin dropped. Okay. So, speaking of Fordham, raise your hand if you walked down the steps to get to this floor today. You took the stairs. Awesome, cool, thank you. So no one's that lazy, got it. So I want to ask you a question to think about. You don't have to raise your hand again. Do you remember taking the stairs today? Do you really remember it? Not like what it's like to take the stairs you've done a million times. I mean, do you remember what it was like to walk down the stairs today, this time? Were you maybe acutely aware of each step that you were taking? Did you notice the pattern of the floor, or maybe how high the ceilings are in the lobby? Or maybe you looked through that glass panel and you saw some kids staring at the vending machine like, should I get Twix or Sun Chips to get through this test? Because that's a really important question, right? So what I want to know for real though is, was your heart filled with joy? Was it bursting even because you were walking down the stairs to Flom Auditorium in Walsh Library at Fordham University? If yes, you're probably a senior, right? Or someone I could totally be friends with. You see, back in 2008, I was looking ahead at my last year of high school, and in this moment, I made a drastic change in the way that I saw my life in the world. And motivated by the absolute terror of leaving behind a really great world that I was in, and I had no promise that the world of Fordham was going to be any good at all, I vowed to myself to never take anything for granted again. And it worked because I had an awesome time my senior year. I made really deep connections with friends that I'm still best friends with. I went to events I hadn't gone through all 3 years of the whole high school career, and I really enjoyed every moment of my senior year of high school. Well, thank goodness that I made that change in the habit of how I saw my life, because my 4 years at Fordham ended up being the best possible experience of my life. And I knew in every moment, in the way that I would get off at the parking garage, and I would just stop every day and I would look and I'd see Keating and I'd just take it in for a second, and I never really failed to stop and smell all the roses or whatever other flowers someone had planted on campus. And I used to sort of waltz around campus humming to myself. Kind of weird, I know. But it's because I knew that I was in the most beautiful place in the whole world, and I got to be there every single day. And so while I'm not really sure I had any friends because I was singing and dancing my way across the grounds, I did, and I was happy. So you can talk to them about their choices. And so even in moments where I was really stressed out, you guys know how college is, maybe it's finals time or registration, or you have 4 papers due, or I was on the board of a club here, and running those events was really stressful. But even during those moments, I was really happy. In fact, I was happy that I was stressed out because I knew that I was in a place that I loved, doing something I was passionate about. And if you ask me right now to go back to that moment my senior year when I was kind of twitching here in the library because how was I going to get this event to happen? I would go back to that moment in a heartbeat because I knew that I was just so happy. And all of these moments, in the dread of walking to the library because I had to go to work or study, in the benches outside Freeman, in each of the different groups that I found myself in randomly, or the seemingly meaningless conversations that I had every single day, I knew how lucky I was. And each of these things, they resonate with me even today still. Leaving Fordham was probably one of the hardest things I ever had to wrap my head around. Why would I leave this place? I don't know, graduation, something. And I miss it. I really do. I miss it still. I think about Keating sometimes while I'm at work. It's kind of weird. My intern Kate might know that. But they resonate with me, and I know, simply because I refuse to take anything for granted while I was here, that I get to keep each of those moments in my heart wherever I go. So it really, I got Fordham and I kept it with me forever. While I was writing this talk, I needed some sort of thing to add to it. I was missing something, and I kind of needed proof so that you guys listen to me and I'm not just some crazy girl who has way too much school spirit. Like, there's scientific backing, but I didn't have that until, in a literal answer to a prayer, my boss Tom sent me an email. And in this email there's a link to a video, and he was hoping it would help with our social media. It helped me instead, so this next segment brought to you by Tom. So the video it was by Soul Pancake. I don't know if anyone knows what Soul Pancake is. Okay, she knows, cool. Yeah, she's happy too. And what they do is they do a lot of like cool like social experiments or cool activities and strangers making bonds and all the crap that I like. And this particular one, they had found a study that said that if you express your gratitude, you are happier. And they were like, hold on. Gratitude equals happiness. Let's test this theory. And so they got a group of people together, and they had them first sit down and take this like psych evaluation test to see like how happy they were in that moment. And then they gave them a pen and paper, and they said, I want you to think about someone that's really, really important to you, someone that's changed your life, and I want you to write about why they're so important to you. And so everyone did, they wrote it down, okay. And then they were like, oh, great, you wrote this paragraph. Okay, here's a phone. We want you to call that person and read it to them right now. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can. Okay, so everyone did that, or at least tried to call the person that they had written about if they were still alive or whatever. And after that little tearful montage of I love yous and all that good stuff, they took that psych test again to see where their happiness level was at right now. And here's what they found. They found that people who wrote down their paragraph, but they didn't get a chance to call the person for whatever reason, they didn't pick up, whatever it was, their happiness levels increased about 3 to 4%. Cooler, the people that wrote the paragraph and got to call up their friend or mom or professor, whoever it was, and express that to them, read the paragraph, their happiness levels went up 4 to 14%. And cooler still, the people who were the least happy in the beginning had the greatest increase in happiness by the end of that one activity. So we can take 3 things from this little experiment. Number 1, acknowledging gratitude will make you happier. Number 2, when you share that happiness with someone, hi friends, when you share that happiness with someone else, you get even happier, because if you think about it, we're here to share our happiness with others because then they're happy and now we live for each other and everyone's happy. It reminds me of a quote I heard once that says, feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a gift and not giving it. We have to share this with others. That's where, as she said, we're a community. We need to share it with other people. And the third thing we can learn from this video is that the lower you are emotionally, the worse you feel, the more of an opportunity you have to have a big jump in happiness from just one activity, which is actually pretty hopeful, isn't it? So I've talked a lot about what my 4 years here were like. I talked about how happy I was here, but that was 2 years ago that ended. We could talk about time flying another time. I don't have time for that right now. So let's fast forward to about a month ago. Not about a week ago, about a month ago. I'm glad you guys laughed at that. That was good. So I myself have been going through a pretty rough emotional time. Call it a quarter-life crisis. I kind of laughed when my friend Halima asked me to speak because I was like, what mental health? I don't have that right now. What? But I won't get into that. So I had the opportunity to come back to campus here in the middle of this depression, if you will, because my little sister Martine is right there. Hi, Martine. She's got balloons.
And Twizzlers.
Yes, and Twizzlers. My favorite. Okay. So I had the opportunity to come back here because I needed a ride home from the city when I was working, and she could drive me home if I just got here. So I get off the Metro North stop, and I walk through the Fordham Road gate, and I'm fumbling with my alumni card because, like, I don't know, you swipe it, tap it, do a dance, show the guy, I'm not really sure. So I show the guy, eventually wave hello, and I step on a campus. And suddenly I'm transported back to April 2013 when I was a senior and in the middle of like being obsessed with my school. And I kid you not, I thought these words in my head. I thought, it's like I've been on a really long and crappy trip, and I'm finally home. And I felt what it was like to have a full heart again. And I kind of gulped in my Fordham air like it was no one's business and walked around in awe that I was back here, and I went to find my little sister, which I did, don't worry. And so what had happened in retrospect, thinking about that video I told you about, when you're really low, and I was low, I was like, life is really, really hard to live right now, low. But you put yourself in a place that, what happened is I was in a place where I conditioned myself to feel gratitude all the time, every day, every moment, because I told myself I would do that. And I suddenly remembered how lucky I was and how blessed I had been. And even though there was a lot of bad stuff going on in my mind, I was still lucky because this place and these experiences were a part of me. And it helped, it made me feel better. It didn't fix me, I'm working on that, but it made me feel better. And so it's true, when you're low and you do one thing, you have a big jump in your level of happiness. So that moment was kind of a big one for me, and it shows you how important my Fordham career was to me. So gratitude, my friends, has the power to change your eyes to the world. When you focus on the beauty that's around you and the blessing that you get in every single step that you take in that mindfulness that the previous speaker was talking about, it's really, really easy to become overwhelmed with gladness that you get to be right here, right now. It's you, that's your life. That's really awesome. And so what gratitude does is it makes you think about what is instead of what should or shouldn't be, because that's when we get upset, right? It's when we think about what should or shouldn't be. But when you're focusing on what is, then you can see the good things that you have. And so when someone tells you that take nothing for granted sounds a little too optimistic and sunshine and rainbows, well, you could tell them no, it's actually realistic. And so I thank God for making me a Fordham woman, and I thank each of you for giving me the opportunity to share my story. Thank you.